Welcome to the Headley Highlight Show's Headley Headspaces. The Headspaces are a series of thoughts and musings I have during the course of the week, and I chew all over them when I bring them to you. And this week's Headspace is called The Bank of England Drive a Coach and Horses Through Labour's Budget and Its Growth Plans. So today, the Bank of England reduced rates from 4.75% to 4.5%. This was good news for people on fixed rates mortgages or who had loans which were on variable rates. But it was bad news for the Labour Party. And the reason it was bad news for the Labour Party is because the Bank of England downgraded the growth forecasts. They provided a reality check to Ms. Reeves and Starmer, who, as far as they were concerned, had forecast that the economy was going to grow. But the Bank of England said they are revising their growth forecast down. So all of the activities and suggestions, such as an increase in national insurance, an increase on farmers in terms of inheritance tax which is garnered from their land, all of those things that the Labour Party is hoping to stimulate economic growth are not actually going to do that, because the Bank of England is saying we are revising down our growth figures. By the Bank of England halving its growth forecast from 1.5% to 0.75%, this definitely demonstrates it's a major setback for the Labour Party. The important factor about the downgrade is that it signals weaker than expected economic performance, and it raises concerns about the effectiveness of Ms. Reeves, the Chancellor, and her recent budgets. And the central plank of that budget was, we have to increase growth. The fact that the Bank of England decided to cut interest rates, that was widely expected. But it is also a cautious response in terms of its stance on future rate cuts, and it suggests that there could be potentially inflationary pressures in the future which will always dampen growth. Ms. Reeves. Given that we're likely to see higher inflation this year, maybe moving to 3.7%, and higher energy bills and water bills playing a significant role, this could also go to eroding household income. That's what the Bank of England was thinking. And this is the reason why they downgraded the growth forecast. Because there's a whole likelihood we're going to have a lot less money over the coming months and possibly years. On a slightly brighter note, the Bank of England did upgrade its growth forecast for 2027. They hope it to move to 1.5. I mean, it's just moving at breakneck speed. And this is really important for the Labour Party, because don't forget, they have been talking about growth, growth, growth. Well, if you don't get the growth this way, how else are you going to stimulate the economy? Reducing public expenditure? That's what Rachel Reeves was talking about, bloated public services. Another important factor about the rate cut is what it tells me about the Labour Party's thinking and the people they have around them. They were told when that budget was about 2 weeks old that the rate cut would have an impact on their growth figures, and they didn't move the dial one bit. And now the actual rate cut has been done and the growth rate has been downgraded. They're left with egg on their face, having to make some sort of maneuver to catch up in terms of how they're going to address a reduction in their growth ambitions. I mean, you have to revise the plan, don't you, Ms. Reeves and Mr. Starmer? What are you going to do? And I think this will be very, very interesting and also very painful for the poorest and most vulnerable in our community, because we can guarantee that Labour will absolutely pick your carcass dry before turning on those who are already supporting it in the establishment and the donor class. Haven't you noticed none of their policies are really affecting higher rate taxpayers or corporations? So that's my 2 pence on the Bank of England rate cut. Basically, it destroyed Labour's budget that they just gave us about 4 or 5 weeks ago, because they downgraded the growth forecast. And given that Rachel Reeves and Keir Starmer have growth as a central plank, this wasn't the thing you really wanted to hear from the Bank of England. So what's your thoughts about the rate cut? What's your thoughts about Rachel Reeves and the Labour Party's handling of the economy? Do you think they're doing a good job? Do you have trust should I say trust, the lettuce trust? Do you have trust with a T in Labour's handling of the economy? Or do you see the mere fact that so early on in their administration that their growth forecast has effectively been expunged, that this is an indication of them not really being able to see past 24-hour headlines as opposed to 6, 7, 9 months down the road, 2 years into your administration? Give me your thoughts, your 2 pence, your 3 cedis, or your declining dollar price. Don't forget to visit my website at denisehedley.com. And don't forget to make a donation, because without your donation, this unique and splendiferous production could not be brought to you. See you next week, and thanks for listening. And cut.